The Pyrite arc is easily one of the most frustrating arcs to go through with this series. I hate it so much. At the same time, I love it. I love how much character development is in this whole segment around Holo, around Lawrence. It's a really good moment to really kind of make Lawrence realize kind of what he's about to lose. And I think this episode 18, really did kind of solidify that, and the idea that yes, he makes a lot of like references to his courage and not wanting to lose his goods and all that kind of stuff, but he's literally saying he doesn't want to lose Holo. He just doesn't want to outright say that. He doesn't want to imply to people what he's doing, even though it's obvious that everybody's picking up on this. Everybody knows exactly what Lawrence is doing. They know exactly what he's going through, and he just doesn't want to say it. But I do like the fact that a lot of this whole segment is really him kind of solidifying to people that he's not after money. And that's obvious because what he's about to do is literally crash an entire stock market over a woman. That shows the dedication of Lawrence. He's about to crash an entire stock market to try to get the girl, which, yes, if you kind of think about it, it's kind of wrong. Like, this dude can literally just go up to Holo and say, hey, I don't want to lose you. I love you. But he's not going to do that. No, he's going to do what Lawrence does, which is do trade and win a duel. But anyways, yeah, it's a fantastic little segment. I haven't been covering it for the last few weeks, and that's mainly because I've been busy with the first impressions. And yes, additionally, it's kind of difficult for me to talk about this segment because there's a lot to do with Holo right here. And even still now, I don't want to kind of mention what's going on with Holo. It's heartbreaking. I think the segment where she finds a letter, finds out what Diana has kind of brought up, it's super heartbreaking. The idea that she's trying to get to Yoitsu, and she's now basically finding out that there's nothing there. That this bear basically has destroyed Yotsu, and thus wherever they're going, there's nothing there. And so she's afraid of being alone again. And we've already hit on this before. She's afraid of being alone again. She was alone before. That's why she went down south. Then she became alone again when she was at that village. And now she's about to be alone again because, again, she's assuming that Lawrence, once he gets her there, is going to leave her. It's super tragic. And again, it's heartbreaking that Lawrence doesn't want to say something. Now, he does technically say something after the letter. He tries to say something, but she lashes out. No, what am I to you? Accept me. And it's like, what she says there is extremely bold. The idea of, well, give me a child. Give me a child. I don't want to be alone. Prove that you won't leave me. Prove that you won't leave me. I have somebody over here, this Amadi kid. He's totally open to take me. He totally wants me. He loves me. Show me that you love me. And he can't do it. He can't show that much. And yeah, it kind of is a thing where now that he's possibly going to lose Holo, he's now seemingly showing that he doesn't want to lose her. But I think it's in that moment of him realizing what he's losing that he's finally waking up to this. He's finally opening up to it, which I love. My gosh, episode 18, Mark's amazing. Mark is such a good character. And again, I love how much they've been doing with Mark because, like I've said previously with previous videos, it's almost like Mark is a sign of what Lawrence wants to become, while at the same time showing that Mark kind of wants what Lawrence wants. He used to be a traveling merchant. They were both traveling merchants. Mark has achieved what Lawrence wants to achieve, having a marketplace, a place to settle down and have a family. And even still, Mark previously was mentioning that he kind of wishes that he can get on the road again, do just like what Lawrence is doing. But now he has this. And again, I love this episode because it kind of brings that up again, the idea of, hey, Lawrence, things are different for me. You think, okay, let's go ahead and buy up all this stuff. That's not what merchants that have shops do anymore. We don't just jump at random things to make, get rich quick schemes. We don't do that. We have a place that we are cemented in, and we can't ruin that reputation that we have. Even though, yes, he kind of points out that he ended up finding some people that have a little more dough than he does, and he was able to find them to get more pyrite. But it's still really cool to kind of see the difference between him and Mark. And I think Mark, again, was just super fantastic this episode. But getting back to Holo, I, again, find it really tragic. She's finally discovering this stuff. There's a side of me that almost believes that she already knows this, that she already knows that there's possibly not something there. But again, I do believe that part of this whole thing is just having a reason to travel with Lawrence. The hang up for me, though, in this episode for Holo, which doesn't imply anything that I technically already know about what's going on with Holo right now, which I hope they nail that, by the way. The next episode should be the next episode, should be super good for her character. What was interesting in this episode that I don't have an answer to is really around Diana. When Lawrence goes to meet Diana, when he's leaving, he asks, is there any cases of pagan gods with people? Them being a couple. He's basically asking Diana, hey, can I get with Holo? Is this a thing? Can I do this? And she says, yes, there's many stories, but you're busy. You had to leave, right? We'll talk about it next time. There's a side of me, because what Holo said previously, I'm not sure which episode it was. It might have been 16 or 17. Previously, when Lawrence brought up the idea of what he found from Diana before, which was about, Yotsu and all this kind of stuff, she mentioned something about not remembering. So it obviously implies that there's a lot about her homeland that she doesn't recall. Yeah, she's mentioned things before, like, yeah, I remember going to this place or traveling in this direction. She has a general sense of her homeland. And yes, she has memories of her homeland because she's talked about before people leaving and her leaving south. She's been there before, she has memories, but there's a lot about it that she doesn't seem to recall. And there's a side of me that almost wonders if some of the stories are talking about, because Diana was bringing up stories about this Holo that left the land. And again, that was what they were referencing to Holo, trying to see if she remembered those stories. She doesn't recall. There's a side of me that almost believes that either something really tragic happened with Holo when she was in her hometown or when she left, that she's forgotten a lot of things. And it could just be the passage of time, that she's just forgotten things. But there's also a side of me that almost believes that there might be a curse placed upon her, or that she just doesn't want to remember something because she has some sort of trauma. So I'm kind of curious about that. If there's stories that Diana has about Holo specifically having had a relationship and she just doesn't remember, or something that she wants to forget. I'd be very curious about that. But still, again, the whole segment with with Holo breaking down after reading the letter was like, yeah, it was like one of the moments of like, wait, you said you couldn't read. You read the letter. What? And then, yeah, that kind of implies that she read it. It doesn't say exactly what she found. That's the kind of bummer thing, which I'm hoping we'll find out in the next episode, because I don't even recall that. She read something in there. It could just be confirming what they've already found, that, Yoitsu is gone. But again, that seems to be what's implied, because Holo is saying, I have nowhere to return to. I'm going to be alone again. But again, really tragic that she finds that. And again, her lashing out at Lawrence, trying to push him. And it's really this case of her discovering that she has nothing. And she already knows that Lawrence is going to leave her eventually. And that she's afraid of losing that. She's going to be alone again. And again, that aspect of kind of saying, hey, be that somebody for me. If you're saying that you're here for me, prove it. Let's have a child together. All those kind of things, like, yeah, for anybody watching going, dude, Holo needs you. And then, yeah, you don't want to take advantage of that situation. She's obviously, yes, very vulnerable at that moment. That's not to say, hey, go do that. But it is sort of kind of show if that's something you want. Don't drag her around. Because, yes, credit to the situation, as much as I don't like Amadi, I like Amadi. I understand Amadi, but yeah, he is kind of a snot kid. He's willing to take in Holo. He's willing to show her that love. If you're not going to, he's going to. But yeah, let's get into Amadi. I mentioned before when we first got to this arc, I think that's the point when I pretty much stopped doing coverage of it for the first impressions. I never liked Amadi, and that's really because he's just not a kid. He is a good kid because he's somebody that seemingly did not take advantage of his family. He was raised in a rich family. He went out and did his own thing. He made his own riches. But at the same time, he's also somebody to flaunt it. And that's kind of the annoying thing about him. Doing the public declaration with a contract saying, I will buy Holo and I will marry her. That's kind of the feeling of somebody that has too much money and they're kind of flaunting it. That yes, technically, it's not his fault, really. Because again, what did Holo say? I told him I am burdened with this massive amount of debt. Lawrence saved me, but I am going with him because I owe him a lot of money. Holo basically said that Lawrence has control over her, which, yes, technically he sort of does, again, to the setting that we're in here. If somebody, like what Amadi says, I think it was Amadi, if somebody owes somebody a lot of money, specifically women, they will be under the guardian of the person that they owe that money to. So Lawrence technically is her guardian. And so that's what Amadi wants to do. He wants to free her from that. And yes, throwing in there is, I'm going to marry her. Now, it has implied that unless she accepts it, that Holo herself can rip it up. And that's a gamble that he's taking, because he assumes that if I can buy her freedom, she will be indebted to me, and she will love me, and she will then want to marry me. Again, Amadi, I don't like him because he's so snobby, and yes, to the credit of the story, you don't want him to break up their relationship, but he is technically doing a good thing. It's just the way he does it is he's a snotty kid. He's a flaunter of money, a snotty rich kid. But again, he earned that money. Again, I will give him credit for where credit's due. But yeah, the ending of this episode, 18, was like, ugh, you just want to strangle the kid. You just want to strangle the kid. He just flaunting the money. Yeah, I had him exchange it. It's nothing. It's all right. Can I have the contract? I'll take care of this. It's just you want to strangle a little bastard. But yeah, there's another side of it that this kid is getting stringed along. Like Holo, from the moment they got there, Holo has been milking this boy of money, and so if he can get something out of it, he's do it, because again, Holo's basically swindling him in a sense for the last like 3 episodes. Obviously, like I said, Lawrence is the key thing in this whole thing, and his realization for essentially what he's missing out on. Again, I love the fact that they put it in the way they do, and the idea that he's losing something. He doesn't want to lose that. He's finally realizing all these little images that he's getting of all these good times that he has had with Holo. These are things that he doesn't want to lose. And I love how Mark puts it in the idea of like, money means nothing. And it's kind of this whole, he's making this big, huge speech, and everybody, all the market people are saying, yeah, preach it, boy. All these people have pretty much been in the same position that Lawrence has had. Because again, the idea here is a lot of the people that have settled down and made it in the marketplace, they're people that all want to settle down to have families. And so they're probably all in the same, similar position as Mark himself, in that they all, see that love is more important than the money itself. Yes, they can probably go out, make a lot of money, buying up stuff and selling it at a high price in another location, but they've all sought out love. And so it's kind of trying to push upon Lawrence, don't worry so much about the money, which he's technically at this point already doing, but it's almost solidifying it in his head. This is what your goal is. You're going to do this, right? So it's good stuff. I love the growth that we've had in Lawrence over these last at least 2 episodes. But yeah, the big duel at the market. This is a curious thing, because there's a side of me that almost wonders why Lawrence waits. Of course, it's for tension. Let's create tension by creating this idea of he's got to wait till the right second and sell all of his goods, and that'll drop the market down, and thus Amadi will lose all the money. But if Amadi gets to it first, he makes his money and everything's great. And it's like, well, then right when the market opens, sell. I guess it really depends on how much Lawrence has, because the idea here is that you can't sell too early, because if it gets enough buyers and there's enough people that want the goods, the price will then essentially keep flooding back up. It's all about a supply and demand. So yes, obviously, if there's more goods than people, Mark pretty much makes it very clearly. If there's more goods than people that need the good, then of course the price will come down. But if there's more people than there is actual goods, then yes, the price is going to go up. So I guess it depends on how much goods Lawrence actually got. He should know at this point, by the way, because he was supposed to meet with Diane at the marketplace in front of Mark's place. So he already knows if he got goods from Diana. Now, the question mark is how much of that is offset from what he sold to Amadi, because he technically had to get enough to sell Amadi. He was doing that all on alone. Of course, Mark also came through for him. Mark also was going around and getting from the market itself, so he got that as well, along with what Diana had, which again, if Diana didn't sell to Amadi. Either way, Lawrence in that marketplace right there knows how much he has and if he can do it, which is kind of funny, because I think there is a side of me that when the moment that Amadi walks up and Lawrence starts to get all flustered, yes, on one end you can say that he's getting flustered because right in front of him is Holo. That's his prize. That was a thing that he's doing all this for. This is his duel in front of Amadi, and that's my winning prize. But we've never really seen Lawrence this flustered. And there's a side of me that almost thinks that he's playing Amadi by acting like he's flustered. Okay, if I'm here for the purpose of this duel, I want Amadi to think that he's won already. And by doing that is simply going, oh crap, I forgot to count the coins. Oh, wow, that's right, you need the contract. It's just very out of character for Lawrence. I mean, we've seen Lawrence get shocked and get surprised before, but he's never fumbled like that. It almost feels like he turns into just an act. It all seems like an act because it's a little bit too animated. So the assumption, again, is he knows what he's doing the moment he arrived there. He's got his game plan set out, and whatever Amadi does in that situation, it shouldn't catch him off guard. He knows that he has to sell this Amadi. The only thing that I can see throwing him off is really the fact that Amadi went and got it all exchanged, which that, yes, is technically a big deal. It's going to cost a lot for them to get gold coins especially. But no, like I said, the market thing is the oddity here. Because again, if Lawrence has enough goods, the moment that the market opens, he should just go up and sell. There's no point for him to stand there and wait for the market to keep going, before he finally chooses to sell his goods. Unless he hasn't solidified something with maybe the people with Mark, because the other part of this whole situation is that Mark's apprentice is supposed to go around and whisper to people that the price of the wheat is going up as well. That's the only thing that saves it. That's the only reason that I can explain why he wouldn't immediately sell. The idea here is he wants to do a twofold. He wants to sell to the market to bring the amount that's in the market up, and thus the price comes down. But additionally, he wants people to panic that are currently not buying wheat because they want to buy pyrite. So that does make sense there, because they had this whole scene previously where the guy's like, you know, look, I'm a traveling merchant. I was thinking of buying wheat, but I think I'm going to put that off because this pyrite stuff is really huge. I'm going to waste all my money on that instead. But if that kid can run around and whisper, man, when is the wheat? The wheat should be going up right about now. People are going to panic because they were putting that off, and they kind of stop putting that off and buy what they're originally going to buy because they have things to, you know, fulfill. So that's the only reason I can see him not just immediately selling. But yeah, overall, good episode, episode 18. Can't wait for the conclusion of it. And then I can talk a little bit more about the situation that I technically already know vaguely what goes on there. But I think they did a really good job with this adaptation, really kind of cementing what Holo's going through. That breakdown from Holo was just absolutely heartbreaking. I was floored by it, especially the comment that she made about Nora, because like just previously they talked about, oh, there's the horner going off, so they must have a shepherd nearby. Oh, I wonder if it's Nora. And so it's like it was bringing back Nora, just like I don't know what, like 1-2 scenes away from the moment where Holo's like, oh, for sure. So you do like women that are, you know, fragile and broken. You like to save those little lambs, don't you? You never told me what was going on with Yotsu that you knew about, because you wanted me to be stupidly running towards this goal that doesn't even exist. You wanted to see the stupid look on my face. It's like this, it hurts. It hurts. And again, I kind of wonder how much of it she already knew. I really do wonder how oblivious Holo is to her situation, or if this is a lot that she already knows. Because again, she left because she was alone there. What exactly is she anticipating will be there? Except for possibly those that left before her had returned. Anywho, that's my thoughts on episode 18 of Spice and Wolf. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hopefully I can get back on the weekly videos for this series, because yeah, it's going to get hopefully much better from this point on. Again, I'm super also excited to see a lot of stuff that was not adapted from the previous adaptation that I have no clue about, so I'll be interested to see that stuff kind of play out. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know about the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists, if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. You know, take care.